and what played out there so publicly. And I think the other panelists are in agreement that these celebrations are probably a bit ill-timed, a bit too soon after Raila Odinga's death. Probably they should have waited. If Raila Odinga was present, this kind of divisions would not have played out so loudly and publicly as it was. Do you think that this is the end of ODM?
Well, it is obvious watching the events of the last 5 or so days that there is a serious battle for the soul of ODM. And how this battle will be resolved, it remains to be seen. But I saw some important progress in what was happening, because there is the ideological wing of ODM, represented by the likes of Sifuna, the likes of Anyang' Nyong'o and James Orengo. And then there are the pragmatist wing of ODM. This is the wing that appears to have the mindset that over the last 20 or so years, ODM has been seeking to form government and has not succeeded. And therefore, they imagine it is easy to be in government just by cutting deals with President Ruto, whom, for whatever reasons, they believe is likely to be re-elected. Whether that is the case or not remains to be seen. But why I think there would be some interest in the battle for the soul of ODM is that the exit, let us call it that way, the exit of a charismatic leader across the world, many times it means, will the party succeed, will it not succeed? There were countries like Russia, China, Mandela, ANC, Tanzania, where you see there was a sense in which the party survived the founders. And that is because they were ideologically split, they were ideologically founded and grounded, and therefore you emerge stronger probably, even after the founder has left. Because remember, and this is an important point that my friend Barak Mulukaye made yesterday in the Sunday Standard, that because of the existence of Raila Odinga as a charismatic leader, it meant that for all practical purposes, ODM did not have very strong institutions, in the sense that Raila was everything. Remember, Raila, unlike many other political parties, many people don't take cognizance of this. They have what they call the Central Committee. Now, the Central Committee basically consists of Raila's loyalists. And you do not see an equivalent of the Central Committee. The Central Committee is something that you see in communist parties, where now the party leader is able finally to dominate the party through that Central Committee. Now, the NDC and the Executive Committee, those are the normal structures that are known within the normal structure of the Political Parties Act in Kenya, which you do not have, which they have, in addition to the Central Committee, which ends up making all the key decisions. Now, because of that fact, there is now an opportunity, because remember, even when he was in Azimio, for example, the High Court about a year ago, or early this year, when he decided that Azimio party was a majority in parliament. Now, there was the ideological wing of ODM, led by James Orengo, who spoke out the idea most, who wanted to say, why don't we take our position as the main, as a majority party, and then move on from there. But unfortunately, Raila Odinga preferred, instead of building up on Azimio, he found it easy to say, let's cut a deal. We leave UDA and Kenya Kwanza to assert their wrongful position that they are majority, and ODM gets accommodated somehow. And that is why now, when you had this broad-based government now getting some grounding, it is again an informal enterprise. And that is why Winnie Odinga, when you had her say that this was being managed by the deceased Raila Odinga. And how do you move forward from there? Senator Sifuna raised an important question. that this broad-based government, and it is the future of it that will decide where ODM goes with this broad-based government, where is the headquarters of the broad-based government? Where does it meet? Because remember, even a small task force, it usually has a headquarter that this is where you meet, this is where the secretariat is. So that it is a completely informal arrangement between Raila Odinga and President Ruto. Now, in the absence of that, the question Winnie was raising, who will now be the one to manage? Who is Ruto's partner for purposes of BBG?
Equal partner.
Equal partner, whether it is equal or not, but who is for whom will the BBG now be the representative of BBG? For example, if you need a deal like you want to pass an unpopular bill, whom will Ruto speak on the ODM side to rally the troops, the way Raila would do, and to ensure that even unpopular deals would be supported? The budget is coming. The budget, looking at the IMF figures and the discussions with the World Bank and the donors, they want to increase more taxes. So if you want to increase taxes, will the ODM play ball? Okay, if Raila was there, probably he could be spoken to, and probably they would have played ball. So that there are interesting times ahead. But that issue of broad-based government is crucial for one reason. Namely, all the ministers that were in the Ruto's government, they are saying we are with Ruto unconditionally. We support re-elections. Now, that is a group that is in the broad-based government. The other group, and they were saying, Orengo said it, well, I think it is Ruto who needs ODM and not the other way around. Now, because of that reason, the future of the broad-based government is not assured. Okay? Because some people have reservations about it, that it is compromising them. And again, two things. Knowing the style of William Ruto is a kind of leader who wants you to surrender, is a dominant figure, is an alpha kind of politician, just like Raila Odinga. Now, these alpha politicians would want, and that is why you hear in ODM people saying, we are orphans. We are going there unconditionally. Of course, there are other groups who say, we are not orphans, we have a home, and we intend to build that home. So these guys who are the pragmatists, they might find themselves, as the years go by, need to seek re-elections under UDA. And these are the group that remains of ODM, the ideological group. It will now depend upon them. Will they carry the people with them? And why is that significant? It is significant because ultimately, the group that wins depends actually on an actual elections. These elections will be in 2027. Will the people say, we want the ideological group, or we want the surrender group, that which wants to go to this other side? And finally, it is an important point to remember that Kenya Kwanza itself, as it is today, we say we have Kenya Kwanza government. I realized 2 years ago when doing that majority case that Kenya Kwanza actually does not have an office, does not have a website. It is a completely, so that in Kenya you are actually governed by an entity that has got no office. And it is the same case with broad-based government. So that the truth of the matter is, it is until they call the road, the rubber meets the road. I hope that is the expression, that we are going to see what is going to happen. For example, in Mombasa, the governor for Mombasa, for purposes of re-election, in UDA, he has a competitor. So when elections comes nearer, they will end up being rivals. So I do not see them going very far.
Okay. And probably 2027 is too far for us to think about when it comes to whether or not ODM will be in UDA or vice versa. But